Hi there, you're watching the Gardens and Graveyards channel. My name is Charisma and today we are in the garden and we're going to cut down all of our ferns. So we are living on the Oregon coast in a zone 9A and our ferns are evergreens. We do have one perennial variety that dies back in the wintertime, but for the most part they're all sword ferns, and we have some licorice. What are they called? Like licorice? I think they're just called licorice ferns. Anyway, we have about 5 varieties on the property. Mostly sword ferns. They're evergreens and they don't have to be cut back, but they start getting kind of raggedy, and ferns do what gardeners call burying their dead. And what that means is the new growth comes up over the dead foliage and grows, and so it looks like this beautiful lush plant, but if you look closely and underneath the new leaves, there's a bunch of dead brown crispy leaves from previous years. And so all of our little individual plants that we have all around the garden, we have pretty much touched every year, but I have a whole bunch in this lower garden area that we've never pruned since we've moved here back in 2017. We've maybe pruned them a little bit just to maintenance plants around them, but we've never done it for the health and maintenance of the ferns. So one of the benefits of cutting back all of your ferns is, 1, it's aesthetically pleasing. 2, you could be harboring some pests and disease on all that leaf mulch that's underneath the living fern. You know, like all the dead and decay that's underneath there. It could be harboring some pests. I'm not seeing evidence of that. At this point, it's just about letting them get fleshed out and looking beautiful again. So, I'm about a month behind on cutting back my ferns, but I'm confident that it's okay because we've had a really cold spring and we even had hail this morning. So I'm pretty sure that I don't have any new growth on my ferns, and the ferns are just so resilient in their native environment here on the coast in Oregon, really all throughout Oregon, that I'm not really worried about cutting off the baby fronds and killing the plant. It will grow back. It'll be fine. It'll be totally fine. But I'm going to show you 3 different methods of cutting back the fern, and we'll do a couple of individual ferns just to show you a couple of different techniques that you could choose to do. And then for the majority of them, I'm going to be using my trimmer and cutting them all back. And so let me get the camera turned around. I'll show you what I'm talking about, the area that we're going to be spending the most time on. Right, so this is the upper garden where our raised beds and stuff are. And then we get out here and you can see that huge fern. And you pull it back, look underneath, you can see all that dead foliage. You can see all those curlicues. Those are the new fronds. So I might just cut like this high so that I don't cut into those. But there's just so many, I don't know. This is a different variety here that just, you could see how much leaf mulch and whatnot is underneath there. Just a lot of dead, like these are all dead, decaying. And you could just come through, pull them all out and clean up the fern, or do what I'm gonna do and just weed eat everything. So we have this whole bank of ferns. All of this is all fern. You can see it's encroaching on my pathway. The pathway goes back into there. You can see what, heavy rains and years of not maintaining it, they're just getting pretty wild and ragged. You can see this is last year's growth, and you can see this one got a little bit more sun than normal, and it just looks old and needs to be cut back. So we've got these in here. And the other challenge that I have in this area is this whole embankment is being held up by tires. You can see all these, you can see the moss on it, which covers up the tire really, but they're all tires. And that's keeping the upper garden and the lower garden, you know, in their places. Those tires were placed there for erosion control and embankment, to create a steady embankment, long before we ever lived here. And so they're doing a wonderful job, but you could see these ferns are growing through the tires, or in the middle of the tires. So I do have to be careful a little bit in that regard, because when the string line hits the rubber, it breaks off. And so, if I'm careful enough, the string will last the entire project, because these ferns are so soft that they wouldn't really put any wear and tear on the string. But I'm likely going to hit some rubber, because you could see here's another big cluster of them who can't even really see the tires, but those are all tires up in there too. So hard to avoid hitting some tires. But I'm really excited because you could see how desperately these ferns need to be cut back. Then, of course, we do have some ferns here and there in the landscape. Some of them have already been cut down. You can see this is a perennial fern that's coming back up. No, we had another one over here, but I think we might have dug it out. Basically, there was ferns all over this property, and anytime I have a plant that I really want instead, I dig it out and put them over here. This is a prime example. This fern was someplace else. We literally just tossed it over there. We didn't put it in the ground. We didn't dig a hole for it or anything. And within a year, it had rooted itself, and now it just lives there and loves its life. I think that was over in that space a few years ago. Anyway, so there's a couple of individual ones there, and then we have a couple upstairs. We have been slowly minimizing how many we have upstairs. There's one on the back side of that, which I will hand cut. It's just too hard to get to. And then over here we have a fern, maybe two, over there by the angel, and then one up here in Privet Grove that we're going to cut back today. So this is going to be our first fern here in Privet Grove, and you can see that it has lots of green leaves. And what I want to do here is I want to leave as much of the green as I can, and I'm just going to remove all the dead fronds. So basically that just cleaned it up and still leaves a plant there to look pretty. Now these ones I'm just gonna cut all the way down. Even the holly ferns have to be cut back in the springtime. I'll just leave one leaf on there so I remember what it is. All right, so let's get the bulk of these done now. So that's what they look like after they're pruned. Giant pile. Just gonna keep going on down and we will show you how it looks in the end. Let's see all of our piles here. We try to get the last part of this done before it starts raining again, because it's getting dark. But we got all the way to there, so we just have a little bit left underneath the twinberry. But for the most part, we got all underneath the escallonia done, and up around the corner to the rain tree. So just clean up our piles and call it good for today, and then we'll finish up probably tomorrow. All right, that really needed to be done, and I'm glad it's done in time. There's still another section to do, but it's time to cook dinner, and the clouds keep coming back and forth, so I don't know if it's gonna start raining or what the heck is going on, but all right, day 2. Ready?
Yeah.
And now they're all gone. Woohoo! It's amazing how big those ferns get. 0 irrigation, no fertilizer. This area down here has never been maintenanced. Yeah, that's the difference between natives and cultivars.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
They do not need to be babied if they're in their most desired spaces. That's gonna be it for this video, and I don't think there's anything else to say. I think I said everything earlier. So until the next time, keep celebrating your life, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.